Okay, guys, before we get started today, Randy White's got a bitch again.
Shocking.
Isn't that a shocker? So, I really don't know what in the world is the NBA thinking. You've got Draymond Green. He's been thrown out 2 of the last 3. He's got 6 games this year. He's already been thrown out. Granted, they gave him a 5-game suspension last night. This guy is bad for the brand. And when are you going to get it? That this guy does the fans no good. If a fan comes to see him play and see the Warriors at full strength and he gets thrown out in the first quarter like he's famous for doing, or wanting to throw a punch, or in the case of Godere the other night, grabbing him by the neck and wanting to throw him down, NBA's got to do something because the guy's not good for NBA basketball.
Yeah, but in that case, I mean, he's defending his teammate. I mean, the guy's in Klay Thompson's face, and you got to come up and, help your teammate out. I mean,
what's going to be his answer the next game when he gets thrown out? He's been thrown out of more NBA games in the last 5 years than any player in the history of the game.
He's the Dennis Rodman of our era.
Wilt Chamberlain couldn't stand up to this guy getting thrown out of games. I'm appalled. And why we're on this subject, I got one more. I talked a couple weeks ago about the NIL in college sports. The NCAA has made a mockery of this. They didn't think this thing all the way through. Jim Harbaugh, and I'm not standing up for Harbaugh and what they did. If he's involved, slap his wrist. Let's move on. But if you're stealing signals, you still got to make the block. You still got to make the tackle. If I know you're going to have a sweep on your first down play, I still got to make the play. The NIL. These guys, Shadir Sanders driving a Rolls Royce, I don't get it. And then these guys, you've got players from, I won't name the universities, that illegal bookmaking with their NIL money. Shocker. Guys driving rich cars that are getting parking tickets. 37 by an NCAA player. We're only in November. Unpaid parking tickets. And we're going to go after Jim Harbaugh. And what the NCAA did, totally wrong. They should be embarrassed. If you know you're going to suspend the guy or the Big Ten's going to make a suspension on the head coach, suspend him. That week, we let that head coach go to Happy Valley, to Penn State, and as he gets off the plane, we tell him, sorry, you're not coaching. That's not right for any sport. And if they think that's the bigger issue than this NIL, I need to run for the president of the NCAA committee.
Carefully, don't fall off your soapbox.
How do I go back in time to the me before all this pain?
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Welcome to another episode of the Bookie and the Bettor. Host Robert Kowalski. I am joined once again by my colleagues, Nick Schulte, Randy White. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Of course, no reason why not. We can't go ahead and talk a little bit about organized chaos. Since we're listening to you talking about Draymond Green and violence that wasn't meant to be. But I suppose we could talk a little bit about, previous to talking about our NFL card, we have something happening this weekend local to us that I'm very excited about. I want to make sure everyone knows about it. UFC Fight Night is at the Apex this coming Saturday night. Actually, before the F1 race, we can probably touch on that. I think Nick knows a couple of things about that race and what's happened to the city down south over that. However, UFC Fight Night, I want to mention that on the card, it is Paul Craig against Brendan Allen, but that's not what I want everyone to watch. Tune in to see our local kid, the kid that was on our show last year at Baldini's, Payton Talbott. Payton, shout out to you. Shout out, of course, to the Reno Academy of Combat. We're all rooting for you. You've got your bantamweight fight. He is undefeated still at 6-0. We installed him at Book at Baldini's as a minus 800 favorite. I think that's exactly the number that he deserves to be at, being undefeated. He's knocked out everyone that he's ever fought, either through punches or kicks or knees. His last fight, he actually went the distance. So he endured all 15 minutes of that hell. He's fighting Nick Aguirre out of Illinois. He's 7-1. No easy walk in the park either. However, Payton, we're rooting for you. Can't wait to watch you. No, we're all here, friends of you, and we're all hoping that you come out as victorious as you have in your entire professional career. So,
is that a pay-per-view? Is it a pay-per-view event?
It's on ESPN. So,
okay.
If you want to tune in, you could watch it.
ESPN.
Yeah, it'll definitely be on. So, watch, bet. If you'd like to go ahead and lay a very heavy number, it's exactly what you're going to do.
Maybe we can get him against Draymond Green. Put him in the rain.
Payton, what do you think? All righty. So a little bit about combat sport. I wanted to make sure I talk about that because love the kid. And I think he's going to have an incredible career. Absolute terror at his weight class.
And a nice guy. I will say, really outgoing guy,
He's
nice
great.
guy.
Yeah. So, missed last week, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and offer you all the information that we can get as fresh as it can be. Obviously, the show covers an awful lot of injuries, who's playing, who's not, who might be playing, who might be day-to-day, who might just make it literally that lineup card as we roll into Sunday morning. So why don't we go ahead and start, gentlemen, with the first game that I circled here. How about the Eagles and the Chiefs?
Super Bowl rematch.
So a little bit of a different look on both of these franchises. However, I mean, one team has 7 wins, another one has 8. They both look incredible. Kansas City has a bit of flame to them in the defensive side of the ball right now. Randy, I opened it up 2.5 and moved up to 3 for a hot minute. Went right back down to 2.5 for Kansas City. I have a feeling that that's the ceiling. What do you think?
Well, again, this is a marquee matchup for this week. But if you look back the last 4 years, I do not believe the Kansas City Chiefs have lost after a bye week. So, again, they're at home. This is tough for both teams, obviously. The thing that I'm worried about, if you look on both sides of the ball, defense. And you know my philosophy, defense wins championships. Both secondaries have been torched lately. Mm-hmm. So that has to be a concern. Probably more so on Kansas City's side because they don't have the pass rush that the Eagles possess. But both offenses can, again, I think Kelsey's going to take advantage of the Philadelphia secondary. But on the other side, I'm real worried about Kansas City's secondary against this offense with Jalen Hurts. I just think he's got too many weapons.
You know, Nick, the vast majority of games, if you want to talk about a trend, there's one trend that jumps out this NFL season, and didn't see this one coming, but here we are. Prime time NFL games, Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night, and this falls into that category. 78% of these games have gone under the total. 46 is the number. 46, let's maybe just give you the most accurate number for everybody because that's what we do here on the show. If I tell you, Nick, 46. Over or under? Forget about the trend.
I like to take the over on this one. I think Eagles are going to be a little out for blood, coming after, Super Bowl loss last year. So, and again, I mean, who wants to see an under? So hopefully it's a shootout. I mean, wasn't it the Chiefs and Rams a few years back? We had that 100-point game. But, I'm hoping for a shootout.
You don't like to see paint dry?
Not exactly.
No?
Not exactly. So.
All right, so if I look at a couple of players very specifically, I wanted to see if you had a little breakdown and give something of a bit of a nugget to those that are perhaps playing a little bit of DFS, maybe a little bit of a player prop. How about Jalen Hurts? Would you think that he would go over or under 46.5 rushing yards?
Over.
I would say over because I believe both teams have to put pressure on the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You're going to see more scrambling.
Yep.
Contrary to Nick's point, I think they're going to try to control the running side of it. And I think we might be shocked in the first quarter and a half where both teams are, I don't want to call it a filling out session, but I think they're going to try to get some ground control to open it up for that passing game.
Okay, so if you're going to go over there, let's look at the other side. I'm going to go ahead. Philadelphia once again. A.J. Brown, pretty much unstoppable all year. 86.5 receiving yards, over or under?
I'm going to take under on that one.
Randy?
Now this is just me looking ahead. I think DeAndre Swift's going to have a game of all games against the Chiefs because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. He can do just about anything. So I would probably take the under on that one too. As good as he is, I think Jalen likes to spread it out, hit the tight end a little bit. Yep. So, and I think DeAndre Swift's going to have. If you get him on a great prop, take it because I think he's going to exploit that Kansas City defense.
I would agree 100%.
Okay, moving on. A little bit of New York. How about the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills? Buffalo now 5-5. If you haven't looked ahead, I'll go ahead and do this for you. Their next 10 games, well, actually looking back at their past 10 games and then comparing what they have coming up in their schedule, I'm not sure if they're going to get into 10-win category. And if you're not going to get into 10-win category, I don't think you're making the playoffs. Gentlemen, Buffalo opened 6.5. It's now sitting at 7. The total, 46.5.
Well, the Bills have one of the toughest schedules remaining in the NFL. I don't think they're going to get to 10 wins. They needed that win the other night. I would think this week with all the criticism, and I know he's had it all year, but the guy hasn't went 2 consecutive games without throwing an interception.
It's been the Josh Allen turnover show.
Yes.
All along, so.
I look for him to have a big night. I don't know. You got 10 teams in the AFC right now that are 500 or better. 10. Where do you put Buffalo amongst those 10? And, you've got some teams here, 6-3, 5-4, so they're already 2 games back. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, look what happened week 1. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going down, but they lost that matchup. And then, after last week, nobody kind of really saw that one coming. So I think Buffalo comes out and has a huge night. Obviously, I think they let their offensive coordinator go too. So I think they're going to be playing with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And I think if just Josh Allen and Diggs can get on the same page. But that's
I'm thinking about coming out of retirement because I think I can help the Jets. At 280 pounds, I might be the biggest quarterback out there. I might be able to come out of retirement and help them.
All right, so I'm sensing catching 7 would be the play here. Or anyone want to lay 7 here?
I'd lay the 7. I think this game has 34-17, 34-10 written all over it.
34 points. I don't think the Jets have given up 34 this year.
Trust me. There's a little bit of some attitude adjustment that needs to go on in the Buffalo Bills locker room, and you can bet, starting from McDermott all the way down, it's filtered through there for the first 3 days this week. The Bills clubhouse and the locker room, they'll be ready for this game.
So new OC, Randy's laying.
Yeah, and you just look at the Bills all season long. It's been feast or famine, and last week was famine. It's going to be feast time this week. So.
Leg 7 as well. Yep. Okay, got a consensus here. I was hoping to actually have you guys trade off a couple of bets here, but so far I'm not seeing any of this.
And the big question is, does Salas get fired? I know he's on the hot seat. To play in New York, you're on the hot seat before you even play your first game. Is he staying?
No way.
Okay.
This guy,
he's turned around that team.
With nothing.
Yeah.
It's no offense. Zach Wilson, last in the alphabetical order. Last in stats.
He's last in everything. There you go.
Raiders and Dolphins is next. And so I needed to discuss this game for multiple reasons. One, we haven't really talked about the Raiders since...
There's really no need to. But.
A ton of firings. They are 5-5. Let's get that straight, okay? So they are 5-5. The Dolphins 6-3. We open up the Dolphins 10.5, the favorite. It's now up to 13. The total, 46.5. That seems to be a running number. I haven't seen many 50s. Looks like that's come and gone, and we're just not going to see those anymore. But Miami, healthier than they've ever been all year offensively, at least.
Coming off a bye.
Almost a 2-touchdown favorite. Aiden O'Connell will be the quarterback for the Raiders. Randy, taking or laying, and then why?
This game is going to be 41-17 or 41-14.
You think
Dolphins?
You think the Raiders can score 14 points?
Yeah, I do. And again, I'm looking at it from the defensive side of the game of, having Crosby scoop up a fumble, giving him some field position. But this Aiden O'Connell has played well.
Do we have a prop bet for a defensive touchdown in that game?
You might want to have a safety or a touchdown. The Dolphins, as Rob said, they're healthy. They're the fastest team on turf, and coming off this bye gives them a little rest, and they're at home. I love what Antonio Pierce is doing. I love his energy, and again, like I think I said 2 weeks ago, coaches that have that high energy, they're going to be successful. It's just not going to happen on this Sunday.
Yeah.
So 40. Oh, so
41-14
you're putting up 40 for the Raiders. That's
for the Dolphins. Dolphins are going to score
right.
40.
I meant the Dolphins exactly. Similar thoughts here.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders could match the speed, and Raiders are going to have at least 1 or 2 3-and-outs. They're going to get down 2 touchdowns early in the first half, and it's going to be lights out. So I'm Dolphins all day.
Guys, this is really terrible podcasting. I need
look
you
at this
guys
wins
to
all
go
week.
against each other
I'm
at
going to
some
give you
point.
another little prop bet to think about. You might have 5 or more field goals in this game, and that's something to think about there. Carlson can make it from anywhere, and I think the Dolphins are going to be down there on that Raider side of the field a lot. So
You're setting the field goal total attempts
over 5.
5.5.
Yeah,
Is your number.
there you go.
Maybe he wants to go be the bookie on this side.
Yeah, I don't like that because, again, I think the Dolphins are going to score quick and they're going to score fast, and 3 points ain't going to do it. You're going to start seeing, fourth down conversions, trying to keep up with them, and it's just not going to happen. So.
All right. Well, this is my last chance to see if I could get you guys to, pay me some commission and go against each other here. So how about the Tampa Bay Bucks and San Francisco 49ers? They did everything they could to get Christian McCaffrey that record for most touchdowns in a row, but they just couldn't get it regardless. And basically the way the game ended is basically in a joke. So now a little bit of a tougher matchup, one might think. However, San Francisco at 6-3, hosting Tampa Bay at 4-5. 12 is the number, and the total 42. I like 12 because it's not 10 and it's not 13. This is why I picked this game, gentlemen, and this is what I'm hoping that I find opposite opinions. Randy, you first.
Well, I actually think the Bucs will stay within the 11. But devil's advocate on the other side, right now, and I think the 49ers are second on the money side of it to win the Super Bowl behind the Eagles. You seen last week with a 3-headed monster back, this 49ers team is complete, both sides of the ball. And this defensive side, it's one of the best defensive teams I've seen. And I know we talk about the Ravens and some of these teams right now that are in the NFC playing. Steelers have got a great defensive front. This puts everybody to shame. These guys, if you watch, and I was telling Nick, being an old coach, obviously not at this level, but high school and Pop Warner.
3 snowballs, right?
Yeah, no, we have 5.
5
Four,
snowballs.
four snowballs and 1 Empire Sagebrush.
Was that pre-Pop Warner? Or?
No, that was Pop Warner. They drove cars to practices.
Leather helmets.
But the thing that you got to look at with this team, and I really believe this, when they're healthy, I believe they're the best team in the NFL. With that offense, with Shanahan's offense, Purdy has looked like Joe Montana. When they're hurt and it took away one of the elements for him, there were some flaws. But when they're healthy, they can score and they can shut you down.
I'm a little hesitant because last time I came out talking about the Niners on this podcast, we kind of hit a 3-game drought. So I want to be a little hesitant with what I say, but I think it comes down to this game comes down to points off turnovers, and I think the Niners are going to put up at least at least 14 points just off turnovers they're going to create with. I mean, that defensive line alone is just going to create a whole.
And
whole
here's the
nightmare
thing:
in the back
they're
field,
saying right now, if you read on some of these these subscriptions, Baker, because he's having a good year, is going to make another $17 million in endorsements.
Okay.
Really?
What is the problem?
What?
Too much NIL.
I think you talk. To me, he's not a starting quarterback.
Brock Purdy.
No, not Purdy. Baker Mayfield. He's not a starter. He is a backup.
Okay.
But he's got. Hey,
the
Tampa Bay is 4 or
talent
5.
might not be there, but he's a leader, and he will go toe to toe, and he will, and I think he will bring a team up a little bit because he's the guy that's going to dive headfirst to get you the first down. That's going to, jump over the pylon, so to speak. So he might not be a starter skills wise, but he's definitely a leader, and I think he's looking. If you're a Tampa Bay fan and you come out after Tom Brady, you're not expecting much, and I think it's been a big surprise. If I was Tampa Bay, I'd be happy right now with Baker.
Here's a good example: Jameis Winston. Would you put him and Jameis in the same category?
No,
Jameis. You think Jameis is better?
no, I think Jameis is worse.
Okay, but they're both technically backup quarterbacks.
Okay,
They gave Baker the position, but to me, he's a backup quarterback. What is he? 5'9" of nothing, right?
He is 4 apples tall.
Yeah,
And he's getting paid all that money.
I know. That's why I think I could come out of retirement for
Randy,
the Jets
enough.
and help the Jets.
All right, wait, no. Hold on. Wait. So are you taking or laying points? I think you said you want
I'm
Tampa.
gonna take the 11. Yeah.
But you are laying it because you're basically saying San Francisco is going to pick up 14
I
just
think
off of turnovers.
just off turnovers alone. So and then Purdy's going to get at least 2 touchdowns.
So he did it.
Yeah,
I did it. Perfect. Okay. You give me $10, you give me $10. Now we're done.
Remember, look who the 49ers play next week.
You can take an alternate point spread. San Francisco by 17.
Look who the 49ers play next week and see if they're not going to be
That
looking at.
I agree. It's
And I think you
Thanksgiving night in Seattle.
You got Seattle
Then you got the Eagles
on
right
the
after that.
road with the 12th man in the NFL.
Get out of here with look ahead. I'm tired of look ahead.
49ers,
That doesn't happen.
49ers
No, stop.
struggle in Seattle, and they're going to be looking ahead.
Tampa.
How many times has the Niners lost to Seattle in the regular season in the past 5 years?
Pete Carroll has done damage to him,
Not in the regular season.
even with Russell Wilson. Now, I don't know about Geno, how he's going to do. It's a tough place to play, and I think just a little bit. Because, again, you got an interdivisional game next week.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking ahead a little bit.
I mean, if they didn't have that 3-game slump, I might agree with you. But I think they kind of maybe learned that lesson that, hey, we're playing professional football. We're playing against professional footballers every week, and we're not just going to walk on here thinking we're going to win.
Well,
and I think after getting their teeth kicked in for a few weeks, they're going to come out looking for blood. So
You got, is it 5 games or 6 with big chalks over 6.5?
That's
huge.
So when you look at that many big chalks in the NFL, it's tough to cover all of them. This might be the one that surprises.
All right, no. Wait, hold on. I want to go back to the whole I'm looking ahead. So, okay, set this up for me. I'm Christian McCaffrey. We're stuck 2, and there's a minute 53 left. We have no timeouts. We know the play is going to be jet sweep right. Brandon Ayuk's going to cross in front of me. Man, we're playing Seattle next week. I'm not. I can't pick up this first down.
Again, are we talking winning the game or covering the spread?
I want to know the whole I'm looking
The
ahead thing.
49ers
Tell
will
me about
win
that.
this game. I'm reluctant to give up 11 in this game.
So they win, don't cover because they look ahead.
Yes. Because they're players just like college kids. You look ahead, and they do. Trust me. You look ahead. I can guarantee you right now the Chiefs and Eagles were looking at this game on Monday night 3 weeks ago. I guarantee it.
Randy, if I had to build a Mount Rushmore of most overused sayings, I would probably carve, number 1, take it to the bank.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
That's
5 snowballs.
And defense won it for me all this year. I'm telling you, they're not any different than a college kid when you have an interdivisional game and you look at every interdivisional game you have. Raiders-Broncos is always a field goal game. Chargers-Chiefs usually are close.
Broncos, anybody's a field goal game.
But, I mean, I'm just saying, you gear up for that. And even though right now, obviously, you got to say the 49ers are probably the superior team in the West, Seattle's right behind them.
Yeah,
So
same record.
Same record.
it's just my opinion.
San Francisco
Only my opinion.
currently has a tiebreaker, but whoever wins that game, well, obviously you still got a week to go before that. But again, you come out of the 3-game slump, and you had all the talk going into it. I don't think that they
I could
lose
see
focus
this game as a 24-17 game, guys. I really could.
So Tampa cover.
Tampa covers.
Okay.
How many points do you think Tampa's going to put up against that defense?
Well, let me ask you this question. I believe, what's the total, 42?
Yes.
So with a total of 42 and a spread of 11.5, they're basically saying Tampa Bay's not going to score at all. Right or wrong?
They might score 10.
And how many is the 49ers going to score?
I'm going to say they're going to score about 30.
Okay.
They have been wrong, by the way. They in quotes, by the way, for those that are listening instead of watching us on YouTube here right now.
If I'm going to do an 11 to win 10 bet and not look at a money line plus money,
Yes.
I'm taking the Bucs to cover.
The only weakness Niners have right now is their special team. So I think if the Bucs score a touchdown, it's going to be a special teams touchdown.
And it's not – and I think, again, the 49ers are far superior. But I'm thinking, don't kid yourself. That's a big game next week in Seattle. And it's a short week. I'm telling you, they're going to be looking ahead.
Got it. Okay, I got it right. So short week and look ahead. I got to combine those two.
You want to write that down?
Actually, hold on a second.
Okay.
You're right. All right, what else? Actually, no, one more thing. Just from a Survivor perspective, and obviously, we're going to have our Thanksgiving show. It's not going to be on Thanksgiving. We'll go and join us, everyone, again on Wednesday, the day before, and then we could talk all Thanksgiving games and spatchcocking and all that fun stuff. But instead, I want to propose this idea. For those that are still in Survivor, might just be someone at this table right now in a particular pool that may pay $9.2 million. How many nuts would you have in your bag to take the Washington Commanders as a Survivor pick against the New York Giants?
I got to tell you this. I might pick the Commanders, and I looked at this at the beginning of the week when the lines came out. The Commanders or the Texans. Gutsy play.
The Texans. Hold on a second.
I'm going to tell you right now.
The Texans a 5-point favorite.
But who would
over
take
Arizona?
them as a
Survivor pick.
Yes.
For all of it in Week 11.
Yes.
No, so, all right, no.
So, you're down unless you.
No, of course you would have Houston. No one is taking Houston. Stop that. And probably no one's taking Washington unless you got
you took them
very early, right? So, do you take Washington? Now they opened 10. That got bet down immediately. And look, it's Danny DeVito and his merry men.
Was he in TV before he?
No, he lives with his parents.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't his mom still make his bed or something?
I don't know.
Answer me this, please. Would you take Washington as a Survivor pick, yes or no?
Yes, I would.
Right.
Against the Giants, yeah. The only other thing I could think of this week is maybe the Niners.
Well, those are the usual suspects.
You know,
the Niners are there. You could possibly take Cincinnati,
and
but
again,
I mean, Dolphins is a sure thing if you still got Miami available.
that one's even less. But
here's another thing to think about. Dable's on the hot seat. What's going on?
Dable's not on any hot seat.
What's going on in that
They have
Giants
no
locker room?
quarterback.
You have no belief in a
Danny
quarterback.
DeVito's the quarterback.
But Daniel Jones,
He's done.
He's
done. I already made the real tape saying thanks for the memories. He is finished as a New York Giants quarterback. So let's
Didn't he
not
just
talk
sign a
about him
huge-
ever again. We are not here to talk about him on this episode or this show.
So does Barkley want to carry the ball 25 times?
Talk about overrated. Geez.
Because DeVito's not going to complete that many passes. But
Yes.
now I will say, Washington's depleted a little bit on the defensive side with their trades.
Yeah.
You came out very quickly with I have no problem. Now,
No,
so
I have
let's
no
just say
problem.
you'd have the Niners, right? You've had the Niners.
You
You'd
can't
have
bet 'em
Kansas
again. Yeah,
City.
you can't do them.
You would
You ain't touching Kansas City.
No, not this week. Let's forget about that. But you would have the Niners, right? And let's say you would have Miami, but you'd be comfortable taking Washington at home.
Yes,
Nick,
I think that's a.
you see,
Have you seen
my
me?
problem is that I'm heavily biased. Avi, if you don't know, okay, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and I'm a Giants fan. Even though, it's sometimes I have to be a fan of where the money is.
Turn out the lights, the party's over.
Never bet against your team.
So you're telling me because I'm a Giants fan, I should not take Washington, even though
You're gonna hate yourself with that $9 million of blood money if it was made off your beating your team. So
And here's the other thing. They've got the total at 37. They don't think anybody's going to score in this game.
That's the problem. That's actually the problem because the total's so low. I'm thinking maybe there's a chance at the end, and all of a sudden now everyone
Comes
that
down to a
took
3-point
Washington.
game at the end.
Imagine me taking Washington against my team, and then they lose to New York.
I believe
I
that.
would
I got
start-
knocked out in one of my survivors earlier in the year because I took Washington over Arizona. I
Start
believe.
drinking Bloody Marys early.
It's going to be a tough day.
It'll be a tough day. So, am I thinking that somebody at this table has already put the Commanders as the survivor pick?
No, not at all. It's just there's time, but just throwing it out there because it's good
Now,
program.
I'm gonna give
Mathematically, it's a smart move, but don't ever bet against your team.
Okay.
I have one question for you guys. All the backup quarterbacks that are playing this week are starting. Who has the biggest impact this week? That's a toughie.
Browns.
And I'm telling you right now, I love Dobbs. I think this guy has some talent. Again, he was with the Browns and then, obviously didn't
They're playing
come to like the Cardinals.
Sunday night in Colorado.
I think this week he has a big, impactful game, and you're going to be shocked. This guy might throw for 300 yards this week.
Dobbs
Yeah.
against Denver
Yeah.
in Mile High.
Yeah.
You want to?
I'll book that.
Yeah. Can I get in line?
I'll book that.
I think he has the most impact.
I'll give you even money.
You money. Now you're really stealing from him. All right, that's good though. Can we count Will Levis as a backup? I mean, he's kind of the starter now.
Yeah, he is.
I think he'd probably make a big impact. Heck, I actually think that if there's ever a game that they can win, it's probably in Jacksonville. Jacksonville just looks flat right now to me.
Well, again, you caught the 49ers
Yeah.
at their worst time.
Yeah, no, they got
They
buzzsawed.
embarrassed them. Jacksonville's a very good football team. They're definitely playoff bound in my mind.
We said
I
so,
think,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Titans.
I look for them to bounce back this week.
If you can get Derrick Henry on the trade wires early for next year, get him.
I think I'm done with him.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at running backs in general. I mean, their shelf life's been a year, if that.
If you have a 3rd and 2,
I mean, who besides
McCaffrey, who are you going to go with?
Yeah. Well,
You're going to go with Derrick Henry.
but he
The
just,
one thing I am shocked about, speaking of that, and then I'll get off of it. The last 3 years, 4 years, Derrick Henry, when they got inside the red zone, Derrick Henry's getting the ball. He's also doing the jump passes and all that. This year, you haven't seen that.
No, because it's a completely different team.
Is it we don't have the talent on the
No,
offensive
they don't.
line?
They don't. They're washed. The
So-
whole thing's washed. It really is.
If you got a new, although I will say it really didn't happen for Cook, did it with the Jets? But if he had new life somewhere,
No, I think we're not going to see. You're actually on that. I don't think we'll see Dalvin Cook. I think he's done after this year, and I actually think we're not going to see Derrick Henry after this year.
so long, King Henry.
What else, gentlemen? We got anything else we want to cover? How about the Oakland A's? They got a little bit of a approval.
they got the Major League Baseball owners' approval. Now, here's a little trivia. Because they're trying to do this finagle bit with UNLV and have them play in the baseball.
Baseball?
Yes. They got to do a tax
Mountain
bond
West?
issue, which they're trying to get Northern Nevada linked into that. Why would I pay taxes for them to play in Las Vegas? They don't have all the money to get this thing rolling, and I know they got approval, but they're asking for big handouts. They're also asking to go to the Board of Regents to see if there's anything they can do if they let UNLV play 20 games in the stadium, whatever.
Why?
I just think everybody's agreeing to this deal, And obviously it makes the most sense. I'm very disappointed in the city of Oakland. They've done a travesty to the fans that love sports in Oakland, from basketball, football, and
all
baseball.
the sports.
Oh yeah, it's just the
And
stadiums are horrible.
It's
Horrible.
I still want to see how they're going to get this tax bond issue passed, because they're going to ask the residents.
This one stinks the most.
It
out of
does.
all the
It
teams, this one
does.
just stinks the most. By the way, can we, like Reno, can we support? Look, we've got the AAA team, right? Do we sell out? I didn't even know. I actually haven't even looked at the numbers.
Do fairly well, but you're talking 3 million people down there.
Yeah, I don't.
So
No, but I'm just saying, like, could we support, let's say, I don't know, an MLS franchise? Not that we're ever even in line to even have that.
Well, we're going to have the new hockey, right? They're building the hockey
AHL?
arena up there at the minor league hockey.
Yeah, up in Tahoe.
Up in Tahoe.
Okay.
And it's going to seat 4,500 people, 4,000.
That's more of a destination.
I
thing,
don't
though.
know that you can support it with Reno.
Yeah, the population here just isn't dense enough to support a major league,
Okay.
in my opinion. But I think it you know, I mean, you saw it with the Knights. You know, you saw. I mean, look at the Raiders' record since they've been in Vegas. Yet they're still selling out every game.
Every game.
You know,
and it's the most expensive ticket in the league.
And if you're a fan and you're going to see one road game a year, how do you not go to Vegas?
That's exactly
you
what
got.
it is.
You got direct flights from every city.
Yeah.
You got plenty of hotel rooms, and it's Vegas.
Who doesn't
wanna go to
actually the
Vegas?
perfect setup. You're right.
So it's. I think it's a win-win for.
I
both
want to
MLB
see
and-
how this tax comes across, because they're going to have to make it a bond issue on the ballot at some point.
Okay, right.
If they're going to come back to you and I to help pay for this thing. And I looked at what they did with this, I will say, with the Grand Prix. Did you see the track last night with the entertainment? Yes. Oh, my Lord.
So let's actually end on that. And Nick, by the way, Nick, I've watched motorsports in my life for as long as I could remember. You know, Indy, or whether it's NASCAR or F1, but Nick Schulte knows his F1. And so I'd like to lean on you here to end our show on this race. Of course, the circuit was designed long ago. They knew what they wanted to build. But no one saw, forget about just, and we'll get to your pick actually for who you think is going to win this race. No one thought that it was going to constrict the Las Vegas Strip, and then behind it, so much so to the point where I had a couple of my coworkers saying, they live in the Southwest, out in Mountain's Edge, and they said that they're going to leave for work 2 hours before their shift so that they could get to work on time. Look, I get it. It's one weekend, so just deal with it, but still.
But reality, it's more than one weekend.
It's been like this for the whole summer.
Yeah,
They-
it took 90 days to
Yeah,
put
you had construction, and
Yeah.
there's some growing pains, and hopefully, I mean, I think they signed through 26.
10 years.
Or
And
10
what,
years.
10
what did they have
years.
to pay? 145, 150 million just to get the site?
Yeah. Well, yeah, to build the paddock and the garage.
Yeah.
The
Holy
F1
moly.
company actually came out and bought, I think it was $230 million invested into it.
There you go.
It'll be interesting to see. I've heard a lot of people talking some trash about the track. It looks like a pig. It does look like a pig. But, I mean, look at Monza, which is supposed to be the holy grail of motorsport, and it's 10 times better than Monza. So I think you're going to see a lot of straight line speed. Hopefully there's going to be a lot of passing. As far as a pick, though, I think Lewis Hamilton's going to come out and shock the world in this one. I think this will be, since the history of F1, this will be the first year, if Lewis Hamilton doesn't win a race this year, that the British national anthem has not been played in an F1 season. So
Is Zach Wilson from the Jets driving in this?
I don't think so.
Oh.
What I'm hoping to see Saturday night under the lights, and you're right, Nick, from what I read, they said because of the long straightaways, this actually could potentially be the fastest race of the year, and so we'll see how that eventually plays out.
The wild card, though, is they didn't think it, and who knows? I think they wanted to appeal to the European audience, so the race is actually kicking. It starts at 10 p.m. Saturday night, which is 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
London,
Yeah.
if you want to get up for that, if you're in London. But they didn't think about the temperatures in Vegas, and this is it might be the coldest F1 race in the history of F1. They're talking about 41-degree temperatures, and I mean, you're talking about these cars that are just hyper cars, and I mean, tire wear and everything else. That's going to play a huge factor into that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to watch it. It'll be fun to see, and yeah, I mean, everybody wants to see those cars racing past those fountains and everything else. So
Super.
It's going to be a good one.
Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Join us again next week on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We'll go ahead and break down everything that's going to be on Thanksgiving and all those games. Thanks so much for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.